All right, it looks like we are live and welcome in to Rover Sports. We are here and it is Monday, March 15th of 2021's edition of the show. This is just about my favorite time of year, March Madness season, and I'm here with Bruce the Sports Doc. And Bruce, how you doing tonight?
Doing very well. A lot of things to talk about. Want to lead off first with some Philly sports. The state of Pennsylvania has liberalized the amount of fans allowed in the stadium, so there'll be more there'll be more people to be able to watch the Sixers and of course the Flyers. And last night I attended a Sixers game where they won by 40 points against the Spurs. Tomorrow night, Knicks. Wednesday, Greek Freak rumbles in, and I will be attending all three games. So making up for lost time. Everybody logging in. Got a lot of fans I see from New York and Philly.
Giannou Smith, a great signing for the New England Patriots, and G-Men 409, all of these classic YouTube followers and friends that I've had for a while. And it's just great to be on the stream, man. You know, the New York Giants haven't done a lot in free agency. We have primarily a big NFL base, so we're going to hit this first. The New England Patriots today, Bruce, they signed Giannou Smith. They also signed Nelson Aguilar. They also Jalen Mills. I actually have a full tracker of the free agents that the Patriots signed. I'm going to go down this list because for Bill Belichick, he usually is not this massive of a spender in free agency. And do you think that this is going to work out positively for the New England Patriots spending all of this money?
I think so. I think after last year, Belichick must have been seething, boiling in his own juices to watch Tom Brady win the Super Bowl, and his team didn't make the playoffs. So they're trying to make a big splash, and they're probably going to also, they're going to be very aggressive in the draft as well. So I think the Patriots are not resting on their laurels. Jalen Mills won a Super Bowl for the Eagles, one of the leaders on the team. Nelson Aguilar had a great year for the Raiders, and they signed him as a free agent. One thing here in Philly is he always had the dropsies, had one good year, which was the Super Bowl year, but under the bright lights here in Philly, didn't do that well. So you wonder if Aguilar is going to be the Aguilar of the Eagles, which means a lot of drops and disappointing, or will he be the guy in the Raiders basically carefree in the Darth Vader dome where nobody's really watching, no fans. And but in general, I applaud the Patriots because you know what? When I see a team trying to win, I like it. I'm also going to knock off one of these backlights. So continue.
Fine. Jameis Winston signed to the New Orleans Saints on a 1-year deal of $6 million. I think he's making more money there. The Taysom Hill contract, I mean, that's not going to make any sense. $140 million. He's not going to fulfill that. He's only due $20 million. So Jameis Winston pretty much had no market. I mean, Jameis Winston as a starter, could he beat out Taysom Hill? Maybe. But you look at the Chicago Bears, they're left without a quarterback. And unlike Teddy Bridgewater last year, Jameis Winston is not getting an opportunity to really start in the NFL for a franchise. And I don't know really what ended up happening in free agency with Jameis Winston. I mean, this is a guy that's maybe a little bit overweight. He has an inability to get out of the pocket. And in this modern NFL, with the ability to move as a quarterback, Jameis Winston just is not viewed that way. There are certain teams that Jameis would have been very interesting to go to. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers would have been a great destination for Winston. I think that you look at Washington, a dead franchise that hasn't won. Jameis won at an elite level in college. I just don't understand why the NFL didn't view Jameis Winston in this way.
Well, let me just ask you a question because so you're saying the Saints signed him to a 1-year deal? Did he get released?
He got signed to a 1-year deal. He willingly signed.
You know what? Well, you know what? Breeze just retired. He knows he has a great chance to play there, a good coach, a very solid team. Great move for him, and it's not that perplexing to me.
I think, though, for Jameis Winston that he should have held out longer because I view Taysom
for
Hill
more years. What did he want? More years? What would you want?
A starting caliber quarterback. I think
he's going to start. Taysom isn't going to start.
I don't think so.
Winston will start.
He was the backup. Who started last year? Breeze got hurt.
Now listen to me. They're going to have a quarterback competition in the preseason, whatever you want to call it, and Winston believes he can win, and that's the end of it. Taysom Hill's not going to beat him as a starting
how come he
quarterback
beat him last year?
because it's the inertia, because he was always the backup to Drew Brees, but this is a whole new year. So I think it's a good move. We could disagree.
Interesting breaking news here from James and G-Man 409. The Magic Man, Ryan Fitzpatrick, heading to the nation's capital of Washington to play for the DC team.
The no-name team.
Known as a group of athletes.
Formerly, just
the
like
Washington
Prince,
group of athletics.
formerly known as the Redskins. Hail to
The
the Redskins.
Hail to Ryan Fitzy. Go ahead.
So guess
Sing
what?
The whole song.
No, I don't know the whole. I only know that first
Fight
part.
for old.
For old DC.
Hail to the
And
Redskins.
one of my least favorite
Hail
teams.
to the
One of your
Chiefs.
least favorite teams also. So let's be honest. There are two fans
I
here.
hate their teams, but listen, they're male cheerleaders. Maybe that's your thing. I doubt it, but maybe some of our followers, you know.
Our friend who's up, Jeff Weigel, is a Redskins fan. Jonathan O'Neill, Redskins fan. And there's a guy named Isaac Reyna.
Yeah.
They're the 3 fans we have out of 5,000 who are Redskins fans. So out of respect to them, we're going to say and agree that Fitzmagic is a good move. That's a franchise that's dead, and he's going to end up playing there, I think.
I think it's a bad move. I'll tell you why. Because Ryan Fitzpatrick, I mean, now Ryan's a very nice guy. He's a lot of fun to have in the NFL. The beard, he's a family man from Scottsdale, Arizona, went to Harvard, really smart guy to get into Harvard from. I think he's from Gilbert, Arizona. Now, the thing is about Ryan, he's never made the playoffs. So he's an overvalued commodity. He had a decent year last year, but this guy's pushing 39 years old. If the Washington Redskins draft a quarterback, you know that Fitzpatrick is the ultimate Madden curse. He's the curse. The starter will get hurt there if Fitzpatrick is there. So that's why whatever team signs Ryan Fitzpatrick, I'm not afraid of that team. You know, the NFC East fans here, their defenses are going to be going up against Fitzy. It's going to be interceptions and a lot of sacks.
My opinion. Number one, I believe that he's the perfect guy, the perfect backup. The Redskins are going to draft, going to pick up a quarterback. And Fitzy is the ultimate guy. And I don't believe in superstition. So that's where you and I totally don't believe in it. I believe in science. So I wouldn't care at all for them. Fact is, this guy's a qualified backup, and he certainly has mentored a lot of people. And it wasn't his fault that Tua had a bad season or got hurt. It wasn't Fitz's fault. The fact is, you need somebody to come in as a stopgap, and that's what he is. So if I'm the Washington football team or a fan of same, I would do it. Just like I know Todd Schnitzer in Philly, he's a guy who likes Hurts the least. Literally, there's one guy who stands on the pedestal, and he might be right. He might be right, or everybody else might be right. I think that Jalen Hurts works very hard. Obviously, in college, he got replaced by Tua. You could say his motion isn't perfect. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but I believe that he will be a starter this year, and it'll be interesting. If the Eagles would have picked up Fitz, I would have been happy too for the same reason. Your thoughts?
Well, the Eagles picking up Fitzpatrick, I would have liked it. I mean, it would have created a lot of controversy. I mean, it's a quarterback factory, the Philadelphia Eagles. But
sarcasm.
If I was a team, I would have taken Trubisky. Trubisky, by the way, in his young career, has played in more playoff games than Ryan Fitzpatrick has played in 20 years of playing in the NFL. And I view Matt Nagy as a coach that's going to get fired. Trubisky is mobile, has decent arm strength. I think that Mitchell Trubisky is a much more valued commodity. I think Fitz is older. Now, the Washington Redskins, they're drafting at number 17 because they ended up winning a division last year that was barely eligible to be a division in the NFC East.
One of the worst, maybe the worst record for a team winning a division.
Correct.
Pretty close. Was it the worst?
I mean,
I remember a
tied.
Seattle team that was 7-9.
Exactly.
Do you remember what were they? What were the Redskins last year?
I would say that they were 7-9.
Pretty close. So
Yes.
tied for the worst.
Yeah. And Josh thinks Tua is a terrible quarterback. I think Tua is going to be absolutely fine. I think that you look at Miami, they're probably going to draft Jamar Chase. I got to tell you this. I think that the New York Giants, if they don't draft if the Eagles pass on Devontae Smith, I think the Giants are going to move up to draft Devontae Smith because he fits everything about what Joe Judge wants in a culture.
If the Eagles pass on Devontae Smith, I think Howie Roseman, his head will be taken out on a poke. And so I believe that the Eagles will draft either Smith, Chase, or Waddle, and they're not going to draft Pitts. Hey, that's his name, Pitts, right?
Kyle Pitts? Yes.
Kyle Pitts,
yes.
who I think is going to be a tremendous player. But I believe that with Dallas Goedert, the Eagles don't need to draft even a great tight end because they basically have a void of wide receivers. And if Jalen Hurts is going to have any chance to succeed, he needs at least one good wide receiver. I believe Devontae Smith is ready. He's an elite pattern runner, great catch radius. Again, he's a thin guy. He's a small guy. He's Rodney Harrison, maybe just a smidge bigger than Deshaun Jackson, but more durable. And so that's it. So let's continue around the league.
So let's look. So Corey Davis, our friend Corey Davis, he signed with the New York Jets today. And a really interesting signing. I think he signed his deal like $7 million for 3 years. So he's going to make up. I'll give you the exact numbers on Corey Davis, but I believe now with Zach Wilson being the quarterback of the New York Jets, that's going to be a really good spot for Corey Davis. I
agree. I think Corey needs a reset. He was drafted by Tennessee. First year was plagued with injuries. Just one of those guys who just had an injured hamstring. In the last 2 years, just not, he's underperformed, I would say. He's been very average, dead average, where he was projected as the fifth pick overall, projected to be an impact player. But going to the Jets, I don't believe in superstitions, but I do believe in bad franchises. And I think that the Jets are one of them. So, I think that Zach Wilson and you're going to have Sam Darnold still on that team, right?
I like this fit for Corey Davis because I think Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, I think it's a new beginning there. And Corey Davis is a high character guy, and he still was successful with the Tennessee Titans. He might not have been an incredible wide receiver. He's not even as good as A.J. Brown, who's a second-round guy. But, let's look at receivers drafted in the top 10. John Ross, Darius Hayward-Bay. There's guys that are outward
much bigger busts. He's not a bust. And frankly, he's healthy.
Even Sammy Watkins was only good for like several years.
Sammy Watkins, again, was really bad starting off. He was a bust in Buffalo. People in Buffalo hated him. Well,
he was actually more productive, though, I'd say, in Buffalo than – he was good with the Rams a little bit. But, you look at Corey Davis, and I think that it's an exciting landing spot for him because Zach Wilson could be a star in this league. He's going to be a star. So Corey's going to feast on
What
that.
other wide receivers do the Jets have?
They have Perriman, who's terrible, but they have Denzel Mims, who's, a tall guy from Baylor, who's a rookie. So
they really have a spot.
Yeah,
so here's a good spot for Corey. Corey should get a lot of touches, a lot of throws.
A lot of action and a lot of throws. So that's been free agency. The Patriots, I think the Patriots are still going to be fine because they're not really draft people anyway. Belichick's getting up in age. And Jamison Crowder, yes. I think this is good for the Patriots, that it gives Belichick something to focus on at this age.
Well, I think so. Well, I think that Belichick wants to become relevant again, and he wasn't last year. And they're opening up the pocketbook, and Kraft's trying to buy some players. And anytime a team tries to win, I usually applaud that. I think when teams just recede and don't do anything, that's when it's maddening, especially if a team's bad. And the Patriots need to retool.
Tom Brady's getting to Bill Belichick. Let's face it.
I think so.
Tom Brady. And we have to watch for Jimmy Garoppolo and a lot more movement. So we're going to talk a little bit now. We've reached the 15-minute portion of the show. Let's talk about the biggest news in sports, and that is the Players' Championship. No, I'm kidding. We're going to talk about March Madness right here. I have the complete bracket. I actually filled out a bracket here, so I guess you might be mistaken by some of my picks. Let's just talk about, how did you like the selection show? What are your biggest stories in March Madness? What do you want to see from this tournament that will be on Friday and then will screw up work for every single American next Monday?
Okay, multifaceted question. So number one, to be honest, I was attending a Sixers game. So I was watching the Sixers Spurs,
sacrilegious.
and I did not watch the selection show. I did listen to portions of it on our flagship ESPN radio, and it was okay. The radio version was not very exciting, and in fact, the hosts weren't even that great. But what I want to see is what I want to see every year. I want to see certain names emerge. Right now, obviously with COVID and this and that, my fluency with all the players is much less than it usually would be, where I would watch a full season. So for me, there's a few teams I love, and we love the Creighton Blue Jays. They completely laid an egg against Georgetown. One of the worst choke jobs. That showed no heart, and it was just terribly disappointing. Somehow they ended up with the 5 seed, but I'll always root for the Blue Jays. I think, of course, the Big East. The question is, are the Hoyas, are they real, or are they pretenders under Patrick Ewing? They were 2 games below 500 before the tournament. Then they went on a 3-game run. So 2-part question. Is Patrick Ewing a good coach? I would say he hasn't proved his merit yet. And 2, are the Hoyas for real? I believe, despite that 1 game, the answer is still no. Your thoughts on the Hoyas?
Well, I like their seeding. I like where they're slated in this bracket. If they were playing Texas Tech, they would get bounced. This tournament is all about momentum, injuries, and your matchup. And they're playing a weak Colorado team from the Pac-12 that I think is very beatable and a very bland team. Then
Let me interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt for 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead. Interrupt as much as you want.
Colorado. I just want to mention something. Colorado, because I was listening to. I didn't watch it play a single moment.
Yeah, neither did I.
But interestingly, in the tournament, this Colorado team has the best free throw shooting percentage in the nation. I thought that was interesting. That's why I interrupted you. Did you mind that interruption?
Me now. You're scaring me.
Did you mind that interruption?
But now I don't have as much conviction in Georgetown.
I would not have known that.
But the good news about Georgetown is that against Nova, they were 23 from the free throw line. A lot of THs there.
But you said that very well.
I got through it.
You did.
Another TH. But
yes, you did.
Yes.
As you were saying, sorry.
You look at Georgetown, and I believe that they're gonna win this game. And then you have UNC Greensboro, and this is a team that has made the tournament a lot in the last few years. And this is a guy in Wes Miller that is a North Carolina old point guard from back when I used to go to North Carolina basketball camp in 2005. He played with Sean May and the great ones. Wes Miller is going to be the next head coach of UNC when Roy Williams retires in several years. He's the coach in waiting at UNC Greensboro. They're playing a Florida State team that just lost to Georgia Tech, a Florida State team that is inexperienced. UNC Greensboro could be playing Georgetown. Georgetown can really have a route to make noise in the East, because the East you have Michigan, that is the 1 seed. They're a soft one. They've really been struggling. Michigan Jawan Howard,
their best player is injured.
Really, Hunter Dickinson? Is that who it is?
No, it's a different name.
It's Livers,
yes. Livers, I think, has an ankle injury.
Right.
And if he doesn't play, this team, they are going to play the first game against the play-in winner. I think you saw that.
Yes.
They're gonna play a play-in winner, which they probably can eke out a win against that team.
Wait, Michigan? Oh, yeah, against the 16th seed?
Yeah, they're gonna win that. But after that, I think they're gonna have a tough time without Livers.
There's only one way that they lose that game, and that's if a team has COVID and Louisville.
Oh, COVID's always the wild card,
and
that's any team can lose.
Well,
there's enough COVID.
There's one day until the standby.
There's enough COVID
until standby. So Louisville's in the standby. They're the team that didn't make. So do you understand what happens?
No, I understand.
If Appalachian State drops out, well, you'd have to have 2 teams drop out.
Too interestingly,
it's not going to happen.
While you're on the COVID, not to belabor,
and I hate talking about it,
but Virginia and Michigan are in the same bracket. They believe that Virginia's out of the woods, according to their coach, that they think they're going to be safe with COVID. But it's interesting how they put 2 gray area COVID teams in the same bracket.
Michigan
and I just checked.
Well, actually, Virginia is in Creighton's region.
Is it in Michigan's?
Luckily not. It's not in the region.
So there's another team. I'm sure about Virginia.
In Virginia's region.
Yeah, tell me another team, a good team that is one of these
maybe VCU, Iowa, Kansas.
Boom, that's it. Sorry, wrong team, guys. No, Kansas as well as Virginia are 2 teams that are great for COVID.
Yep, we're not going to talk about COVID though. The rest.
That's
Let's
enough.
talk about the ball game.
But let's talk about.
So we got UNC.
Let's talk about
Greensboro.
Loyola Chicago.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to know what's up with that team.
Sister Jean. What's up with that team is stifling defense. I mean, this is my favorite team in all of college basketball to watch. I know Coach Dace worked as personal with Josh Pastner, who's had a really good year at Georgia Tech, but this is going to be the year that the Ramblers are back. They have Cameron Krutwig, who's the big 7-footer. They have guys that could really shoot. They have guys that could shoot, and their defense is just a joy to watch. They're going to play Georgia Tech. They're favored in that game. I think they'll win that game by double digits. Illinois is a team that everybody in this tournament loves to win it. I just am not that impressed with the Big Ten.
Tell me about Illinois.
I think Loyola can beat
I have to
number
be honest,
1 Illinois.
I'll be honest. I didn't watch any Illinois games.
I barely watched them either.
So
they have a good coach in Brad Underwood. They have experienced players. I know that they have Kofi Cockburn. That's like a 6'9" guy. They have some guard play. I haven't watched a lot of Illinois basketball, but they didn't look that athletic. Loyola looks like they're just as athletic.
How did they pull what? Just because they played a lot of games and have a good
great
record?
Shooting, smart, great shooting, a good scoring team.
Good scoring team.
But
how about defense? Any defense on this team?
That's why Loyola is going to shut them down defensively. They're going to shut them down.
That would be great. I would love to see Loyola.
Loyola is a number 9. And then Loyola, guess whose region they're in? Cade Cunningham and Oklahoma State.
And that's an interesting one.
So
I watched a lot of Oklahoma State. Cunningham really came on strong. I thought he was overrated, but again, when we saw him, he really could shoot it and very athletic and probably number 1 draft pick, would you say?
I would say absolutely yes. At 6'9". So this is what I would say about my 2 favorite regions in this tournament. Okay,
go ahead.
I'm going to argue the Midwest and the East are the 2 best. Because you have LSU and Will Wade, and he's known as the gangster of college basketball. He's paying people off, but the LSU AD is cool about it. He is the villain. I love having him in college basketball. He's a terrific coach, and he's got the team rocking. Everybody hates him. That kind of makes him likable and
like a good villain, don't you?
Great villain is Will Wade. He has 2 unbelievable NBA caliber guards. They almost won the SEC title. They're playing St. Bonaventure, a great team from the A-10. The winner of that 8-9 game plays Michigan. I want to see Michigan lose. How great!
As do I. I'm not a Michigan fan.
So if Michigan loses, then you have Alabama down here. Alabama's a new team with Nate Oates, again, who's fun from Buffalo. You have Texas, and then you have UNC Greensboro and Georgetown.
It's really
all
in
the
bracket.
East.
It's very fun bracket.
All in the East. Then in the Midwest, you have Cade, like I said, Oklahoma State, Loyola Chicago, Buddy Boeheim. Jim Boeheim's son is on Syracuse, can shoot the basketball, who's a junior. They're an 11th seed. That you also have West Virginia, Bob Huggins. How about this one too? The Rutgers Scarlet Knights in the tournament. So
and we pay homage to our boy Davey Longhorns. Is he Rutgers or Seton Hall?
He's Seton Hall.
Not Rutgers at all.
He's not in.
Not Rutgers
Probably
at all.
Hates Rutgers.
He's a Jersey guy. Okay.
Jersey guy.
Never mind Longhorns.
But that, I think, is fun. If Loyola can beat Illinois, that could be the bracket.
What I like is, I personally like upsets. I also want to see stars emerge. So that's what I want to see in this tournament. I want to see stars emerge and guys get on the board for the draft. I also want to see upsets, close games, overtime. This is my favorite time of year, March Madness.
Talk about now. I'm going to ask you a question. I've been doing a lot of talking, but I guess you're allowed.
No, you're the expert in college
in this forum. You have to, fill in time.
I got to fill in some
time.
Yeah,
can't just be silence. So you look at Justin Thomas, and he said something really interesting about fans yesterday, and that fans affect performance. There's barely going to be any fans here. What will happen in these basketball games? Higher scoring, more upsets. What do you think is going to happen without fans at these March Madness games?
What I would say is, less upsets. I'll tell you why. When you have fans in an arena, neutral arena, they invariably root for the underdog. And the underdog has a lead, usually in the first half. It's like a horse race. They get out, and they usually end up losing. But I think that the fans give adrenaline to the underdog team. And without the fans, I think you'll see more chalk. I think there'll be some fans, but I just don't know how many. And there's some fans, but not enough to make an impact on the game and really create a wild atmosphere. So I think it will be unfortunate. I like fans at games, and the more fans there are, the more buzz, more exciting it is for me to watch on television.
The underdogs,
if they're fans at the game.
Underdogs get boosted from it. And It's going to be strange, and it's very uncomfortable, frankly, for these teams. They're in Indianapolis,
I think
and
they're used to it. Unfortunately, after a year of COVID, I being locked down as
no,
much
but
as they've
you're in
been.
one hotel in one state. You can't even go to a gym. You can't even go to a separate hotel.
When you say a gym, they can't practice. Are you serious?
I meant that for the announcers that they can't work out at like
Oh, and the announcers.
local.
I thought you meant the teams can't go to a gym. Obviously, I know they could play the gym. Teams could practice,
They
right?
can't. They can't practice. That would be great. Let's do it.
You said they can't go to
No
a gym.
no
I took
practice.
you literally, bro.
It's the Allen Iverson tournament.
Practice? What's practice?
Practice.
What are you talking
Sponsored
about?
by
What are
AI.
you talking about?
The big
Practice?
three. Now that would be great. You can't practice.
You can't go to a gym. You're saying the announcers can't go to a gym. You're looking at it from an announcer standpoint.
Announcer standpoint. I mean,
Okay,
no,
all right.
but you also can't go to a Planet Fitness, or you can't leave the hotel. You're on
Yeah,
lockdown.
Can't go to a Planet
It
Fitness.
sucks. It sucks.
All right.
Maybe won't they just?
By the way, you know what's great? I've got to say something. I've watched a lot of tournament preview shows.
Yes.
Ours is the only one where 2 words were used: Planet Fitness. And also,
No
they're
judgment,
starting a
sir.
vicious rumor that the teams are precluded from practicing
practice.
at gyms. That's a great vicious
Let's
rumor.
talk about the
Hope it
Sky
goes
Mall.
Yep.
The thing I love about Indy is it's so perfect. Like if you're very lazy and you don't want to change your
You
wardrobe,
don't want to go outside.
you could just walk
The
on that
whole
Sky
city
Mall.
is connected. Everything's connected. You never have to go outdoors at all.
Yeah.
A little bit like Minnesota's like that too. It's all connected. You don't
Oh
have to go
yeah.
outdoors.
Oh yeah. Minnesota.
yeah.
Minnesota. So I actually think, unfortunately, I like having fans, but the smaller teams get nervous. They don't play at the big atmospheres. And these good teams, how about Duke and Kentucky? They're not in this tournament. So the Blue Bloods are out. Blue Bloods are
Yep.
out.
Yep. And Duke really had an epically poor year, and it almost was mercy killing for them to get COVID and to be out. That was a silver lining for them.
A little bit sad
because they didn't want to be there. They did not want to be there. They didn't want to be selected. When the AD says our season is over, even when you're on the bubble, you know that you don't want to be there.
Sorry about the copyright. So let's talk about 2 more quick topics. We're not going to get to our picks. We're gonna stagger that till later in the week.
We're gonna certainly tease the picks till later in the week.
Let's talk about Kenny Golladay of the Lions. He's a big wide receiver. The Giants are rumored to get him. The Giants haven't making really any moves. What do you think's going to happen there with the Giants in this free agency?
Well, they need a receiver. I think we could agree that their guys have been average. Sterling Shepard, average on and off.
Golden Tate
is leaving, and I think he's. I don't know how many more years he has. He
I
might
thought
have a year
Corey
more.
Davis. I would have liked him on the New York Giants. Corey Davis would have been a really good fit.
Okay, but it's not really an impact guy. I think they might be. You're going to be drafting one of those big wide receivers. I think.
Maybe so.
I think the Giants will be drafting a good wide receiver, and that'll be exciting.
And then yesterday we had DeChambeau. Sunday, snapper soup and DeChambeau and Lee
Westwood again loses by a stroke. So I tip my hat off to the 47-year-old Englishman for basically getting there to the final and losing by a stroke 2 consecutive days. He won a lot of money. His fiance actually carries the bag for him. And so I give credit because I can't even get my wife to step on a golf course and watch me hit one shot, let alone carry my golf bag for 72 holes.
She could.
So I give some homage to Lee Westwood's very pretty caddy / fiance. And, Lee played great, and he's got expectations. He's going to play Ryder Cup at age 47. So I think that's impressive. So I don't dislike Lee.
She wouldn't even go on a par 3 course. She wouldn't even do the par 3 course if she had to carry her bag on a municipal.
Yeah,
par
my wife
course.
would go. She wouldn't go to tees and even play miniature golf for one hole. But that's okay.
Maybe 25 years ago.
Our family, my daughter and wife, they're not sports people, but they're
sports people.
Wonderful people.
That's why
But they're not. They're not golfers.
That's why we like.
We still love them.
That's why we like them because again, opposites attract, right? And
we love golf.
We have
our
domain down here in the basement where
this is our basement.
We get away.
We've been relegated to this place. I get 2 rooms in this house. I get the basement and I get the garage, and I'm proud of it.
Look at that. So I'll tell you what, it's so much fun having DeChambeau. The funniest line was that the announcer of DeChambeau, sometimes lines are not meant to be really funny, but the announcer said DeChambeau says that Lee Westwood's fiance is his good luck charm. And it's just really funny that they said DeChambeau is taking a liking to Lee Westwood's fiance. They said that on.
So they twisted his words around because he said it's his good luck charm. That's not a bad thing.
No. It's just funny. Nothing was bad. It's just funny that DeChambeau is talking about Lee Westwood's fiance and that they were in the same group again. I want Lee Westwood.
Well, he's cool. I love DeChambeau. I think he's cool, and he's very cordial. And Westwood and DeChambeau, you couldn't think of two more different guys. Very cordial to one another. Both fans of the game, both gentlemen. And I'm hoping next week we get to see DeChambeau and Westwood again.
What do I want Lee Westwood to do next week?
What is the name of the tournament?
I don't know. Let's look it up. We're probably going to be watching Madness anyway.
Masters. Yeah, Masters. It's not the Masters. I don't think
it is the Honda Classic. Is Lee going to be in it?
Oh, I'm sure he will be.
Lee.
Honda Classic. I actually played that course.
It's called PGA National.
PGA National, which of course they played at a different place, but PGA National.
Bay Hill? No, it's not.
No.
That's Arnold Palmer.
Weston. He played the Weston course. That's where they used to play the Honda Classic.
I remember that
at the
Weston.
It there. He played there. That's where I thought they were playing.
Played
I guess not.
I want Lee Westwood to lose by one stroke again. Be in the final group.
You're cruel, boy. You're cruel.
But I want him to be in that final group again.
Well, that's nice. He's in the final group. He's going to make a lot of money. Take it back. He's got to convert it to euros.
Well, you want him to win. Fine. He'll win. Maybe he'll win. All right, guys. Well, it's been a fun show. I appreciate you, Doc, of course, for coming on. And
thank you, Spencer J. Thank you for actually showing up to the studio. That was very nice of you.
Of course. And everybody here, great viewership.
A lot of people from the tri-state area. Sean White, great guy. And thanks for watching Rover. We always get a lot of compliments from him. Hope you enjoyed the show. Kind of bounced all around tonight.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow.
Preview
I just
tomorrow.
want to give one little teaser. Tomorrow, believe it or not, the Sixers and Knicks are in prime time. It's an 8:00 tip. I will be doing a halftime live from a box somewhere in the Wells Fargo Center, and I will be not ejected. I will not be ejected for 2 mask violations, and you get ejected from the stadium. So I'm hoping by the time I go on for halftime, I only have one mere
2-strike
mask.
rule.
I only have one mask violation.
It's not baseball.
It's only 2 strikes, right? So in any event, that's the story. And live from Philly, from the bunker here, as always, from the Rovers. Good night and good sports.